we're going back to Beatleland. Today is Paul versus George, each with an 80s solo hit that made 25 in the UK charts. So which is going to win today's showdown? Let's find out. Hey, I'm JSB, and I am being ably assisted once again today by my friend Bostart. Thanks for joining.
You for having me.
My pleasure. As some people who've watched the channel before will know, because it's 2025, I am obsessively highlighting as many tracks as I possibly can that made number 25 in the charts. Now, Beatles-wise, I've already done this song by George. I've had enough from Paul's Wings days. And of course, last time Bostart joined me, we had Paul at war with himself, you could say, with My Brave Face and Beautiful Night. So we're back to, hopefully, finally, once and for all, polish off the rest of the Beatles-related 25ers. So we've got a song each from Paul and George, Press and When We Was Fab, respectively. Both 80s hits that reached 25 in the UK and did slightly better in the US. So we're going to hear both and pick our favourite, and then be asking you to do the same. But there's also a wild card in the form of an actual Beatles track that hit number 25 in the US. We'll get to that later. As for these two solo offerings, I suspect, Bostart, that you have got a favourite as we go into it.
I do indeed.
I don't, solely because I haven't heard one of these songs before. Although, to be fair, I suspect that the end result is going to be the same. That's just my inkling before we do it. But on that note, let's actually do it. And we're going to start with solo Paul and Press from 1986's Press to Play album. So this is the one that I'm pretty sure I've not heard before, but we're going to hear it now. And it sounds something like this.
Say one, say two, say three. Darling, I love you very, very, very much. And I really am relying on your touch. But with all these people listening in, I don't know where I ought to begin. Maybe we could hit upon a word, something that the others haven't heard. When you want me to love you, just tell me to press. Right there, that's it, yeah. Oh, when you feel the stress, don't just stand there. Tell me to press. Tell me to press. You can give me what I want, I must confess. My body needs attention, my mind is in a mess. Oklahoma was never like this. Never like this. It was never like this. Ever like this. There was it ever like this. Oklahoma was never like this. Oh, it was never like that. Darling, I know it really wouldn't be a crime. I say I wanna love you all the time. But with all these people listening in, I don't know where I ought to begin. Or maybe we should have a secret code before we both get ready to explode. When you want me to
All righty then. Now, if you're wondering where the bulk of that song disappeared to, the music isn't in the video due to copyright, but there will be a link to an extended version in the description below where you can hear all of the tracks with us if you so choose. So, Bostart, at last, I will turn it over to you to give me whatever you want, really, thoughts, facts, opinions, as you desire on that little tune.
It passes the time. That's kind of all I'm going to say. But it kind of has a nice Paul sort of beginning with the "Darling, I love you very, very, very much" thing. But yeah, that whole Press to Play album is seen pretty much as his absolute nadir. I've heard it. I heard it only because someone at school lent it to me. It has a few gems, but mostly, yeah, it's pretty meh. And it sounds like Paul just needs a bit of a break, really, and maybe just play some old rock and roll standards for a bit before getting back to his own material. Of course, he didn't have a proper resurgence with the proper follow-up "Flowers in the Dirt" a few years later, which we were talking about last time.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you said on that video, he went back to just making Beatles-ish, Paulish kind of music rather than trying to chase trends. And this is a clear example of someone in 1986 saying, "How can I be as current as possible?" And it's sounding all these years later quite hideous. So, as I said, the song did do a little bit better in the US in terms of chart position. It hit number 21, but the album really didn't do well at all there. It only scraped the top 30 and didn't go gold, whereas it made top 10 and went gold in the UK. But I sort of read that critical reception to the album as a whole was poor, but this tune kind of got a pass from most of the critics at the time, which sort of surprises me now, having heard it. Is there anything to say in its defense?
First line's good.
First line is good. I didn't particularly like the first line. I don't like "darling" as a word generally. I make the exception for "Oh Darling," which is one where it does work. But yeah, I think the consensus is that was not a strong offering. So in theory, all George has to do is be competent to win. So let's move to George and "When We Was Fab" from, of course, his 1987 Cloud 9 album, which was, in terms of singles, it was the follow-up to his, I suppose you could call it a surprise smash cover of "Got My Mind Set on You." Of course, it was co-written and produced with ELO's Jeff Lynne and is a nostalgic reflection from George on the days of Beatlemania. So I have heard this one before, but not many times and not in a long while. But here it is now.
Back then, long time ago, when grass was green, woke up in a daze, arrived like strangers in the night. Long time ago, when we was fab. Back when income tax was all we had. Caresses fleeced you in the morning light. Casualties at dawn. And we did it all. Long time ago when we was fab. In my world you are my only love. And while you're in this world, the first gonna come and claim you. But you know better wise. When the bus gonna come and take you away, take you away, take you away. The microscopes that magnified the tears studied once and on. Still alive, Lord,
5 or 6 silent seconds at the end. I wasn't sure there was something going to pop in at the end, but there wasn't. So, Bostart, what have you got for us on that one?
Are you after facts or my opinion?
I am after anything you care to offer. Entirely up to you.
For the track, well, I'm going to offer you a blast of nostalgia. Firstly, I'm going to give the track a big double thumbs up. I'm also going to tell you that I got the Cloud9 album for my 14th birthday when it had only been out for 2 weeks, and
Woohoo!
and for the last year or so, I'd been obsessed with George, but most of his albums weren't widely available, and it wasn't very cool to like solo George at the time. But I put that album on the turntable and I knew what I'd heard about When We Was Fab, but I hadn't heard it, and I just gave the track a quick spin before I went to school. And then a few months later, it was the second single from the album, and a couple of guys were singing it before we went into Pottery. So it's a happy memory.
Ah, fantastic. Because we're talking about songs that hit 25. It wasn't a massive single, but did you find that it got a reasonable amount of play? Was it, obviously you've got other kids singing it, so it was in public consciousness to a degree at least.
Well, I didn't. Well, you say did it get a lot of play? I wasn't one, funnily enough, for listening to a lot of radio growing up. There were maybe 1 or 2 shows a week I listened to, but mostly I was immersing myself in my growing collection. And it certainly got its fair share of TV play because of the really brilliant video that Godley and Creme directed.
Yeah, and I know friend of the channel, Evan David, will be terribly upset that we didn't do the video for this video, but there's no chance that would stay up, so there was no point in trying. But yeah, I think I have seen it, maybe once upon a time, but it's not really a song I'm super familiar with. I know it better than the Paul track, but I also like it better than the Paul track, and it's not even close, really, is it?
I know the track pretty well, and the personnel. Should be said that Ringo, dear old Ringo Starr, is playing drums on it. That probably won't be so much of a surprise. And Jeff Lynne is on bass, and him and George are doing the keyboards between them. Well, apart from Gary Wright, who's from Spooky Tooth, who's on piano. But the real surprise I found is that Bobby Cock, who's playing cello on here, that's spelled K-O-K if you're wondering, he was South African, is the same guy who played the cello on Hey Jude.
No, I did not know that. So it was a real, I mean, there were obviously lyrical and musical throwbacks to the Beatles sound of what was then only 20 years old. In terms of wins, Paul did slightly better because Press did 21 in the US. This did 23. They were both in the charts in the States for the same amount of time, 11 weeks, whereas over here, Press made 9 weeks in the UK and this only did 7. Just a quick look on Spotify. These days, this is coming up to 10 million streams, so not exactly a massive success in the streaming era. And if I rewind to Press and have a look at that, well, that's only got 654,000. So that tells you how that one has stood up over time. So not too much drama on the song war front, but do you want to officially crown our winner of these 2 songs?
When We Was Fab.
When We Was Fab, getting the nod from Bostart, getting the nod from me, and getting the nod from the Spotify generation as well. But we're not the only ones with opinions. If you have an opinion, whether you agree with the consensus or if you're a big fan of Press, let us know that in the comments below. But we've also got, as I mentioned earlier, the wildcard entry. I asked ChatGPT which Beatles song made it to number 25 in the US, and it was absolutely 100% certain of its answer. It was also wrong. So, kids, this is why we don't ask AI questions, because it will claim that it knows, but it does not know. It told me with absolute certainty that it was got to get you into my life. But it's not. So, I mean, I could just tell you what it is, or I could try instead. You're onto it. As we know, and apologies to my American friends out there, but this is true. Americans take things too far a lot of the time. And I tallied it up once, and 1964 alone, they managed to put 30 different Beatles songs into the top 100. Anywho, the tune is taking us back to 1964 and a little album called A Hard Day's Night. And the song is I'll Cry Instead, and we will hear that now. Yeah.
I got every reason on earth to be mad, 'cause I just lost the only girl I had. If I could get my way, I'd get myself locked up today, but I can't, so I cry instead. I got a chip on my shoulder that's bigger than my feet. I can't talk to people that I meet. If I could see you now, I try to make you sad somehow, but I can't, so I cry instead. Don't wanna cry when there's people there. I get shy when they start to stare. I'm gonna lock myself away, hey, but I'll come back again someday. And when I do, you better hide all the girls. I'm gonna break their hearts all around the world. Yes, I'm gonna break them in two. I'll show you what your loving man can do. Until then, I'll cry instead. Don't wanna cry when there's people there. I get shy when they start to stare. I'm gonna hide myself away, hey, but I'll come back again someday. And when I do, you better hide all the girls, 'cause I'm gonna break their hearts all around the world. Yes, I'm gonna break them in two and show you what your loving man can do. But till then, I'll cry instead.
Here we go. A little Beatley bonus. I'll cry instead. And the question now, Bostart, is well, are we going to stick with our winner, or are we going to switch? What do you have to say on that?
I think I might stick with When We Was Fab, but I will put a word in for I'll Cry Instead, if I may.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you a fact or two. They wanted it to go in the Hard Day's Night film. You may, those of you who know your Beatles pretty well will know that for film albums, what they usually did was they put the songs from the film on side one of the album, and then side two would be other songs that people mostly hadn't heard before, unless they'd been B-sides or something. And the only reason this went on side two instead of going into the film and thus on side one was because Richard Lester, the director, didn't like it. But I think it's kind of corny, but it's also it captures that bit of you that that's been hurt and wants to take that hurt out on someone else, which I don't recommend doing. But he's just had his heart broken, and he wants to go and have a good cry. I meant it wasn't fashionable for men to cry in public even then, and
no, indeed.
I don't want to cry when there's people there, says John. And John, not my favourite Beatle, but a man who taught us it was okay to have feelings as men and to cry, and I will forever respect him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as you said, it wasn't used in the film. Interestingly, though, it did get added in kind of a pre-credit sequence to a later print of the film. I think this was supposedly done in tribute to John, because it came out in a 1982, is what I've read, version of the film. And when I saw the film in the cinema in 1994 for its 30th anniversary, which is sadly longer ago now than it was then, if you see what I mean. We're all getting old. That sequence was included in the version that I saw. So that said, Hard Day's Night for me is the one Beatles album I knew growing up, because it was the one actual Beatles LP that my mum had. She had a stack of Beatles 45s, and we had the 20 Greatest Hits album, which was kind of the precursor to the one album that everybody had in the 90s. But yeah, this is the only proper Beatles album I knew for a very long time, and is therefore still some days my favorite Beatles album of all. I know it's not the best Beatles album, but it's got that nostalgia for me, I suppose. As for whether I'm going to stick or switch, I'm going to stick with George as well. Give the proper win to When We Was Fab. This would trounce all over press, that's for sure. Sorry, Paul. it always seems like I'm slagging Paul off, but I'm really not. I love Paul. So again, let us know. Do the Beatles chime over and take George or indeed Paul out in terms of your winner? Drop that in the comments below. Or do one of the solo Beatles take the official win for you as well? Alrighty. Well, that was enjoyable, and we went through the decades and circled around most of the Beatles. Ringo got in there a couple of times without saying anything, and yeah, it was a three-way battle in some ways. But yeah, good fun. Thank you for joining me again for that, Bostart, and thanks out there to everyone who has been watching. And yeah, there's lots more Beatley stuff floating around somewhere on here, so you can check that out. And we will simply say bye for now, but not for long.
It's the end, but the moment has been prepared for.